Hello and welcome back to Level Up with Loraine. I am your host, Loraine, and I'm elated to be with you on this beautiful Thursday. Shout out to my good friend Takudzwa, who pinged me yesterday and said, listen, when are we getting the next podcast? And she's one of my accountability partners in life. And so thank you for nudging me. Again, for those who know, this is something I'm trying to do consistently. And to those who are new to the podcast, welcome. This is a platform for discussing personal development and growth and how you can level up in your career, in your relationships, and in all and any spheres of your life. So in today's episode, we are diving into the compound effect, one of the most powerful yet underrated principles of personal growth. At its core, the compound effect is simple. It's small, consistent actions repeated over time that lead to massive results. The challenge? Most people underestimate the power of small actions because the results aren't immediate. We are a generation that loves instant gratification and we're just impatient. And so we underestimate the power of taking small, consistent actions, and we want to do things once or a couple of times, and we think we will see the results. So I want to break this principle and concept down for you in this episode so that you can start using it in your daily life. So what is the compound effect? Let's start there. The compound effect is the idea that small daily habits, like I mentioned before, whether good or bad, right, accumulate over time to create significant change. It was popularized by a guy called Darren Hardy, and he wrote a book actually called The Compound Effect. But the concept has existed for centuries, and you might have heard it described as tiny changes lead to big results, or success is not built overnight, it's a daily grind. And it's not what you do once in a while that counts, it's what you do consistently. So you've heard it in different variations or in different sayings, but really what it equates to is the compound effect. So here's the key. At first, you won't notice any difference because progress seems slow or even invisible, right? I mean, if you think about working out, sometimes you don't see the results until just one day after months of hard work and consistency, you actually start to see the results. So sometimes progress is slow, and it can seem invisible, but if you stick with it, results snowball until one day you wake up and realize how much has changed. And the key takeaway is that, again, small efforts seem insignificant at first, but when repeated consistently, they create life-changing results. So most people chase quick fixes, like I said. We want instant success, instant gratification, overnight transformations, or just sudden breakthroughs. But success doesn't happen that way. You don't get fit after one workout. You don't become a millionaire overnight. And you don't develop deep relationships in a day. Instead, success is built slowly and quietly through small daily decisions that stack up over time. And most people quit too early, right? They don't see immediate results, so they assume it's not working. They compare themselves to other people who are further ahead. And comparison is thief of joy, right? And if you do that, you limit yourself from what greatness could look like. And we also get impatient and we switch to something new instead of sticking out with what we started to see if it works and etc. So that's the consistency part. So the secret to success isn't big, flashy actions. It's staying consistent with small actions over time, even when you don't see instant results. I want to talk about how the compound effect works in daily life. Now that we understand the theory behind the compound effect, let's break it down into real life application. The first thing is the power of habits. And I have a podcast on this in terms of consistency, but the power of habits and how small actions shape your identity. Every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming, right? So if you decide that you want to become an entrepreneur, there are certain habits that you need to build within yourself for you to be successful. I mean, you can Google this, you can watch many YouTube videos on this, that most successful people have certain things in common. For example, they all wake up at 5 a.m. It's less about the time that they're waking up at, but more about the discipline, right? Of knowing that I need to wake up at 5 before my day starts. I want to be able to meditate. I want to be able to take a quick jog or go to the gym and etc. And by doing that, you're programming your mind to discipline, right? And consistency. And most successful people have the same story when it comes to the discipline of time, starting your day earlier than other people. I mean, the earliest bird catches the worm. So every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. It may not be about entrepreneurship. Maybe you're trying to become an athlete. You're trying to run a marathon. You have to take small actions. Everything from what you're eating on a daily basis, the workouts that you're putting in on a daily basis to eventually culminate into that marathon. So another example is if you read 10 pages a day, you're casting votes to become well-read. You're casting votes to become a knowledgeable person. Now, if you skip workouts often, you're casting votes for an unhealthy lifestyle. Or if you're skipping reading that book, eventually you will lose interest in that book and you're not going to meet that goal of becoming well-read. So over time, these votes determine your identity. The person who writes 200 words a day eventually becomes a published author. The person who saves a little money each month eventually builds the wealth. So you don't need to take drastic change or drastic overnight change. You need small, consistent choices that align with the identity you want to create. Patience is also key when it comes to the compound effect. It's like planting a seed. It takes time to grow, but once it does, it provides massive results. Think about doing a push-up a day, for example. So you do one push-up a day and you start to increase that by another push-up. So adding a push-up every single day. By the end of the year, you're doing 365 push-ups a day, right? Or I think a simple one could be investing money. So if you think about investing $5 a day, that may seem insignificant at first. But with time and interest, you could build thousands of dollars over a few years. So I think the key takeaway with regards to this is that small efforts may seem invisible at first, but they accumulate over time. And the key is patience and consistency. Every decision moves you closer and further. Now, what do we mean by this? Everything you do is either helping you or hurting you. And there's no neutral ground. And when I say there's no neutral ground, I'll give an example. Imagine two people. One drinks soda, right, every day. They eat fast food occasionally and skip workouts. Now, the second person prefers water over a soda. They they eat slightly healthier and they walk, let's say 10 minutes a day. Now, after 1 week, there's no noticeable difference between those two people. And after a year, there's still probably going to be very small differences. However, after 5 years, person B is going to be healthier. They're going to have more energy and feel better about themselves. Person A, however, will have gained weight and struggle probably with energy levels. So every choice you make, big or small, today is shaping your future. And what you do today actually matters, even though it may seem small and insignificant. The same can also be applied to your relationships when you think about the compound effect, right? So it doesn't just apply to success, it actually applies to every area of your life. So think about your friendships or your marriage or your colleagues at work, right? If you take time to appreciate people daily, so whether it's a simple thank you note, it's a compliment, it's a check-in, that relationship is more than likely going to be strengthened. However, the opposite is also true. If you neglect your relationships, they also slowly deteriorate. So if you stop investing in them, if you stop making those small gestures that are consistent and that edify the relationship, they will also suffer. The compound effect is always at work in your life, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you using it to your advantage or letting it work against you. So think of one small habit that seems insignificant but could change your life over time. What's one small action that you can start today? The reason that it was important for me to share the compound effect, the theory and the practicality thereof, is because this is an area that is also work in progress for myself in my life, right? I'm the kind of person who really struggles with seeing things through, whether it's fitness. When I do start a fitness journey, I tend to get very demotivated quite quickly, and I want to see change immediately. It's the same thing with this podcast, right? There are times where I'm wondering to myself, what exactly, by the way, am I trying to do this for? What will it yield? What does the future look like, etc.? And, there is a great example that I want to share with you that really motivated me and showed me that there is power in consistent small daily habits and actions. So me and my friends have this really amazing YouTuber that we follow religiously. Her name is Janae Naylor, and she's a great example of the compound effect in action. She has consistently, in fact, she left her job at Target a couple of years ago, I think just before 2020. In fact, maybe slightly even before that. And she's been consistently creating content on YouTube for years. Now, when she started, and I started with her right in the beginning, she was just a simple chick sharing fashion, whatever she had in her wardrobe, teaching people how to pair high-end clothing with maybe a cheaper version, right? So she called it high-low luxe, and that was her entry into the world. But she's been consistent on focusing on fashion. Firstly, that's her niche, that's her focus. But with that, she's also, introduced that fashion lifestyle to people, and you sort of see it in action in her daily habits. And that's what you see on her YouTube channel. While many creators expect quick success, Janae has steadily demonstrated that growth requires consistency, and that consistency pays off in the long run. And she's not an overnight success. Even I know that, right? Because I've been watching her for years, and I've started to see the quality and, the compound effect, and how it's now showing up, how all her hard work has now, culminated into this brand that other fashion houses want to work with. So, here's how maybe the compound effect applies to her journey. Firstly, consistent content creation. So instead of chasing viral moments, she consistently uploads high quality videos from day one, even when she didn't have sponsorships, even when she didn't have brands behind her name. She consistently worked on releasing a YouTube video at a certain time and of a certain quality, and she continued to improve her quality. And that allowed her audience to grow steadily over time. She's also gained audience trust and engagement because of her niche and authenticity. She's not trying to be anyone other than herself. She truly loves fashion, and it is part of her lifestyle. And this has helped her build a loyal community, right? And the more she posts, the more her audience trusts her, leading her obviously to better engagement and growth. And I think something also to be highlighted here is over time, her content quality has become better, like I said. Things like her editing skills are top notch, and her storytelling has improved. But for her to get there, she needed to do it religiously. She needed to do it daily until she became, an expert. And you can't become an expert without actually taking the first step and learning and doing it consistently, right? And with time and consistency, her credibility in the fashion and lifestyle space has attracted brand deals, sponsorships, collaborations. I mean, I attend fashion weeks through her, whether it's New York, it's Paris, whatever fashion week. She's all over the world now, and she goes with brands like Bobbi Brown, etc. Now, I love her because I love fashion. I love beauty, right? I love following her because I enjoy fashion and being inspired by her creativity. And this could be anyone for you, depending on what you like. The point is, it's so fun and inspiring to see a brand like Janae Naylor grow from literally being an ex-Target employee to being this respected fashion content creator who now works with brands. So I guess Janae's journey really just shows me, and hopefully you, that long-term persistent effort leads to success. And instead of overnight fame, she's built her brand steadily and proves that small intentional actions over time create massive results. And I hope this is something that you can apply to your own life in whatever sphere of your life, and that you can take the lessons that I've shared here today. I hope to do that for myself as well, because like I said, I'm a work in progress. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it was useful. I look forward to your feedback. Please do share with me any topics you want me to talk about, anything that you feel that I can expand on. If you also enjoyed this episode, please share it with your networks, your friends, your loved ones. And until next time, continue to level up.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.